My 7-year-old niece called suddenly on the phone.
Run away now.
Bewildered, I listened as she added something even more surprising.
Don't go near your husband.
When I put my niece's mysterious phone call on speaker, I was leaning out on the balcony taking photos. Suddenly, I noticed my husband right next to me, wearing an eerie smile. Wait, why? And then, my body was pushed off the balcony, suspended in midair. I'm Charlotte, 28 years old. 3 years ago, I married David, who is the same age as me. About a year and a half ago, just when we were discussing having children, he had a traffic accident and became paralyzed from the waist down, leading to a wheelchair-bound life. Since his discharge from the hospital, he's been withdrawn, and our conversations as a couple have dwindled. Moreover, ever since I started working to support our household, I've felt like David is avoiding me somehow. Maybe he's being considerate of me, or perhaps it's because I'm busy. I've wondered. Despite my efforts to initiate conversations with him, he retreats to his room immediately. I've been pondering what to do, and perhaps due to my distraction, I slipped on wax dripped on the stairs, spraining my ankle. Then, while opening a shelf above the sink, a knife almost fell on me. This won't do. I need to be more careful. But the presence of unused wax on the stairs and a knife in an unlikely high place has been bothering me. Why would they be there? Since no one else enters our home, it's just David and me. However, David struggles even to stand up independently, and the sink area is too narrow for his wheelchair. Could it be that I'm doing things and forgetting? Despite my doubts, I've been feeling restless lately. One day, I went to my brother's house to deliver a congratulatory gift for my niece's enrollment. Although I invited my husband, he didn't want to come, so I went alone. It seemed like a good opportunity to discuss our situation with my brother. When I arrived at my brother's house and handed over the wrapped gift, my niece Emma suddenly said something unexpected.
Uncle David can walk now, right?
I replied. Wait, no, not yet. Emma looked puzzled and said.
Huh? That's strange. I dreamt of Uncle walking confidently.
My brother wore a stern expression as Emma blurted out this surprising statement without even saying thank me. However, I knew that my niece had an unusual ability. Many times, events she dreamt about actually happened. These occurrences ranged from sudden rain showers to unexpected visitors. Mostly trivial things, and my brother dismissed them as coincidences. Just as Emma was about to continue her dream story, my usually mild-mannered brother sternly interrupted her, saying,
Emma, stop it. Creating expectations only leads to disappointment.
Emma, desperate to convey something to me, fell silent under my brother's glare. Frowning and upset, she lowered her gaze. Thank you, Emma. It makes me happy to hear that David might be able to walk. Both my husband and I had hoped for this outcome. Emma's mysterious words provided a glimmer of hope for David's future, lightening my heart. Perhaps, someday, my husband really will walk. Believing that is the one thing I can do now. And maybe, if that happens, our relationship will naturally mend. After a long time, with a newfound sense of brightness, I returned home. Hey, Emma said she dreamt that you can walk. It must be a premonition, I said with enthusiasm. But my husband retorted sharply.
What? Don't believe kids' nonsense. Miracles like that don't happen.
Despite my cheerful tone, he shouted at me with incredible force. You're right. I'm sorry. Even though he grapples with his immobile legs every day, I thoughtlessly uttered baseless remarks. My shallowness left me deeply remorseful. I deserve to be scolded, I thought. Since that day, my husband has secluded himself in his room, refusing to share meals together. Even though we're under the same roof, I seem utterly alone. I made your favorite beef stew. Let's eat together, I offered. His response was cold.
Not interested.
Attempting to repair our relationship, I spoke through the door, but his words echoed harshly. The doorknob yielded no entry, the lock remained engaged from the inside. Please, open the door. I want to see your face and talk, I pleaded. His reply was firm.
Leave me be. I need to think alone.
So, I decided to observe for a while, avoiding any further strain on our relationship. A few days later, on my day off, I was cleaning when my husband unusually appeared in the living room. His expression was remarkably calm.
I'm sorry about the other day. I went too far.
It's okay, it was my fault, I replied. But more importantly, would you like something to eat? My husband requested sandwiches, a rare occurrence. Hearing those words after so long, I felt like jumping for joy. We sat face to face and enjoyed the homemade sandwiches. He happily polished off the entire plate, saying, "Delicious, delicious." I hope moments like this last forever. After the meal, my husband looked out the window and made a request.
Hey, could you take a photo of the sunset? From where I am, I can hardly see it. Maybe from the second-floor balcony?
Indeed, the building obstructed the view from our first-floor living room. Sure, I'll go out to the balcony, I replied. Armed with my camera, I took several photos and showed them to my husband downstairs. His disappointed expression was evident.
The building blocks the view. I want to see a perspective I don't normally get.
He explained. Is that so? I asked.
At this rate, the sunset will be gone. Wait. How about standing on a chair, leaning out from the balcony, and taking the photo?
That might work, I agreed. With the sole intention of pleasing my husband, I climbed onto a foldable chair on the balcony and leaned out, capturing what I hoped would be a beautiful shot. This should make for a great photo. At that moment, my cell phone in the apron pocket rang. It was a call from my brother. As I continued capturing the sinking sunset with my camera, I answered the phone in speaker mode. Suddenly, a loud, angry voice erupted.
Aunt Charlotte. Run away right now.
Huh? Emma, what's wrong?
Absolutely don't get close to your husband.
Her shouting echoed through the phone's speaker. What's going on? As I puzzled over the situation, I heard a murmured voice saying, "Unnecessary interference." Huh? When I turned around, there was my husband, supposedly in a wheelchair on the first floor, standing firmly on his own 2 feet.
Your niece is remarkable.
His eerie grin sent shivers down my spine, and I felt a sense of dread. At that moment, my husband pushed me with tremendous force. My body was propelled off the balcony, suspended in midair without any means of resistance. Ah! The next instant, a loud thud and a powerful impact reverberated through my body, accompanied by intense pain. My consciousness wavered, and I couldn't even open my eyes. My husband repeatedly called out to me.
Charlotte, are you okay? Charlotte. Answer me.
But the shock left me unable to respond. As he leaned over me, I could sense him looking down, His words chilled me.
It worked perfectly. Rather than dying instantly, this way, the insurance payout will be substantial.
His sinister laughter echoed in my ears. What will happen to me? My consciousness faded in and out. Soon, the wailing sirens of an ambulance reached my ears.
If only I could walk, I could save her. If anything happens to my wife, I won't be able to go on. Please, just save her life.
My husband implored tearfully as the paramedics arrived. And then, I lost consciousness completely. How long has it been? I found myself lying on the hospital bed.
I'm glad you're okay.
My husband said tearfully as I lay on the hospital bed. Apparently, the rain yesterday had softened the ground in our yard, acting as a cushion when I fell, resulting in only a broken arm.
You'll need a few days of hospitalization due to the head injury. Rest well.
He added, gently stroking my head. What on earth is going on? But the events replayed in my mind, the horrifying voice of my husband, yet the man before me now seemed like a completely different person. Why did you push me off the balcony? I blurted out.
What are you talking about?
His eyes flickered momentarily.
You probably imagined it due to the shock from the injury. Don't dwell on strange thoughts, just rest.
He replied sadly. Then, he retrieved the camera I'd used to capture the sunset from his bag.
Leaning out from the balcony was dangerous. I don't know what you were photographing, but this camera's screen is shattered and unusable.
He tossed the broken camera into the trash bin in my hospital room. Yet it was my husband who had asked for the sunset photo. And now, his eyes seemed murky, concealing something darker. Afterward, my husband played the role of a concerned spouse, repeatedly thanking doctors and nurses for taking care of his injured wife, and then he left, leaving me behind. As I observed him calmly spinning his web of lies, my feelings turned icy, and all the love I once had seemed to vanish. Could it be that what Emma said was about this? I wondered, picturing my niece's worried expression and hearing her voice in my mind. Why didn't I take her words more seriously when she tried to help me with her mysterious abilities? The next day, as soon as I could sit up, I contacted my brother.
Charlotte, are you okay? Thank goodness.
He exclaimed. He had been worried after hearing my screams during our previous phone call. When I informed him about my broken arm and hospitalization, he promised to come right away. My brother arrived at the hospital with my niece in tow. Emma, her eyes filled with sadness, gently stroked my arm, which was encased in a cast. She revealed something surprising.
When we last met, I wanted to tell you, Aunt Charlotte, I kept having dreams of you falling from a high place.
It seems Emma was right, I replied. Emma had secretly used my brother's phone to call me after having the same dream again. My brother apologized, saying,
I should have listened more carefully to what Emma was saying.
He continued.
From the tone of your phone call, I pieced together most of the situation.
As he recounted what he had heard during our call, he revealed shocking facts I hadn't known. Determined, I thought, I'll expose all of that person's lies. And so, I made up my mind. 3 days later, I was discharged and returned home. As I entered the living room, my husband sat in his wheelchair.
Oh, you're already discharged? It would have been better if you had taken more time for treatment.
He was playing the role of a concerned spouse. His act made me nauseous. When I handed him the photo, his expression changed.
Why? The camera was supposed to be broken.
He stammered. But the picture was taken with the same camera I'd used to capture the sunset, a candid shot of him standing, about to attack me. The screen was shattered, but the SD card inside still had the photo data. I explained. This proves you can walk, and there's no denying it. He clicked his tongue and slowly rose from the wheelchair.
Fine, if I'm caught, so be it.
With an air of defiance, he began to confess everything. It appears that after the accident, my husband genuinely couldn't walk at first, but around 2 months later, he gradually regained the ability to walk. However, he continued pretending to be disabled because he believed it would yield higher compensation, insurance payouts, hospital fees, and the like. You've been deceiving me all along, my husband retorted.
They say to deceive your enemies, start with your allies. And besides, there's no better deal than this.
I've been genuinely worried about you, and I've done so much for you, I replied. He smirked, an unsettling grin on his face.
Well,
then he added,
if you'd stayed in the hospital longer, you could have earned even more. Traffic accidents are the best for payouts.
What? I was taken aback. He chuckled.
Next time, I'll push you into traffic on a busy street.
His laughter was disturbingly out of place. When did he become this person? It was hard to reconcile with the man he used to be. But dwelling on it now wouldn't change anything. Enjoy your laughter while you can. I'm reporting you to the police for pushing me, I declared.
Without evidence?
He challenged. What? I was incredulous. He leaned back in his wheelchair, feigning vulnerability.
That photo was probably doctored. I really can't walk.
Despite having just stood up, he resumed the wheelchair-bound act, attempting to evoke sympathy. I was utterly exasperated. Enough. There's more evidence. Another piece of evidence was an audio recording where my husband's voice could be heard saying,
It worked perfectly. The insurance payout will be substantial.
You didn't believe in Emma's mysterious abilities, but thanks to her, I obtained this evidence. That was the recording my brother made when he heard my scream after Emma called with a premonition dream. By the way, I'm also recording our current conversation on a voice recorder, I added. My husband retorted.
Hand it over to me.
My husband, who had always worn a faint smile, suddenly lunged at me, attempting to snatch them away. Call the police right away, I shouted, and my brother entered the living room. As it turns out, he had driven me home from the hospital. He had been secretly observing us the whole time.
What have you done to my sister?
My brother's clenched fist trembled with anger. Suddenly, my husband's demeanor changed dramatically, and he began apologizing profusely.
Please, don't involve the police,
he pleaded.
You're apologizing to the wrong person,
my brother retorted. My husband then took my hand, tears in his eyes. But I knew it was all an act.
Charlotte, forgive my mistakes.
Despite pushing me off the balcony and causing my broken arm, how could he ask for forgiveness? And to think he had secretly hoped I wouldn't regain consciousness. I'll never forget his words from that day. Why did you go to such lengths for money? You already received compensation and life insurance, didn't you? I asked.
Well,
my husband hesitated. Surprisingly, he had invested in stocks online to increase his gains, resulting in significant losses. He had even taken out loans, leaving me utterly exasperated.
Charlotte, I'm truly sorry. Will you forgive me?
Your actions are unforgivable, I replied. You need to fully grasp the weight of your guilt. Seemingly desperate, my husband bolted toward the front door, attempting to escape. But the police arrived just in time, apprehending him immediately. Watching this unfold, Emma murmured with wide-eyed surprise.
Uncle David, so you really could walk.
Enough. It's your fault.
My husband snapped at our innocent niece. Emma calmly responded.
You know, I dreamt that Uncle was wearing striped clothes and sitting in a dark room, holding his knees.
Emma's prophetic dreams are real, I affirmed.
Ugh. This is the worst.
He shouted. My husband's miserable departure in the police car hinted at a grim future. Afterward, my husband and I divorced through legal channels. He had caused my injury, and I sought compensation. His deception for financial gain ultimately caught up with him, just as my niece had predicted. Furthermore, all the ill-gotten money will be reclaimed, and after serving his sentence, he is obligated to repay the full amount. I hope he lives with remorse for deceiving others from now on. I returned to work about a month and a half later, my broken arm healed. Occasionally, I share meals with my niece, who still dreams of the future. According to Emma, I'll meet a wonderful man and walk through life with him. I choose to believe in that bright future.
How did you find this story? If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to our channel. Until next time.
It happened on a weekend with large, towering cumulonimbus clouds in the sky. As I was packing my belongings for a week, I caught Kevin's eye as he came out of his room.
What's with all the luggage?
Kevin, perfect timing. I have to go abroad for a bit. The bar is closed, but I should be back in about a week, so please take care of the house. However, it wasn't Kevin who reacted to my words, but his wife, Amelia.
Are you planning to go abroad by yourself?
Amelia shouted as if she couldn't believe it. I'm not going for fun, you know. It's just that.
If it's not for fun, then what is it?
Hold on, you two, just listen to me. I tried to calm them down and explain the situation, but their excitement only grew, making it impossible to have a proper conversation.
This is unfair. We're living together. After all.
They continued to make a fuss, and Amelia eventually went so far as to say, "It's ridiculous to travel alone." If they had the energy to scream this much, I'd like them to help with some housework.
Why don't you just stay there for good? We don't need you to come back. We'll take over the house and the bar.
All right then. I'll leave the house and the store entirely to you two. Realizing that further discussion was pointless, I decided to follow through with my declaration and moved abroad as planned, entrusting everything to them. As a result, they ended up in a terrible situation. My name is Maria, and I'm 56 years old. I lost my husband early on and have been making a living by running the bar he left behind. It's not a very large establishment, just a cozy little place that can seat about 10 people. I have no employees. I manage everything by myself. Fortunately, I always have regular customers, so the place is never empty. There's always someone who drops by to unwind and relax after a long day.
Because you're here, Maria, I can keep going tomorrow too.
You shouldn't drink too much. You have a wife and daughter, don't you?
They're cold to me.
Don't say that. Why don't you take home some cake for them? I'm sure they'd be happy. Sometimes, we have exchanges like this. I have a son. He is already an adult and works as a company employee, but he has no interest in helping out at the bar or taking it over. My son, Kevin, works for an electronics manufacturer and enjoys talking passionately about new products he likes while making his sales rounds every day. Because his workplace is far away, he rarely comes home, but when he does, he always enthusiastically talks about things like LCD TVs and vacuum cleaners. Of course, I don't understand much about electronics, but from our conversations, I can tell that Kevin has a job he wants to do as a company employee and that he finds it both appealing and fulfilling. If he ever wants to take over the bar, that would be a different story, but I have no intention of forcing him to do so. As long as Kevin can work happily, that's all that matters to me. He's at an age where it would be nice if he got married, which would put my mind at ease. However, since I haven't heard any such happy news yet, it seems like that might still be a way off. One day, a regular customer came in, soaked from the sudden rain. This customer, Mr. Smith, is well-versed in art and often visits exhibitions in the city. He walked into the bar, looking weary and exclaiming, "What a mess!" As he spoke, he glanced at the paper cutouts displayed in the bar, as he usually did. I create these paper cutouts as a hobby, and the ones displayed at that time were also my creations.
Is this a new paper cutout? A fireworks festival. Ah! It's so charming and elegant.
Thank you. It's worth the effort when I hear that. I started making these paper cutouts after turning 40, teaching myself using a book I found at a bookstore. Holding a design knife and meticulously working on the cutouts during breaks from work and house chores has become my relaxation. Although I don't sell them, I display my completed works in the bar, and it brings me great joy when customers occasionally compliment them.
Maria, your paper cutouts are amazing. It's a shame not to sell your work.
Oh, come on, it's just a hobby, I said, laughing it off as I served him tea. I've always been good with my hands, and lately, I've been creating more intricate pieces. Choosing themes that match the seasons is also a lot of fun. As they say, practice makes perfect. It was an evening with lingering, muggy heat. As I was preparing to open the bar, I received a message from Kevin. He said he wanted to come home today. The bar and my home are a bit far apart, about a 20-minute drive. I wanted to go home for him, but it was almost opening time. Kevin had always come back without any prior notice, so I wondered why he suddenly seemed so formal. Nonetheless, I replied immediately. I'll be at the bar today, so let's do it on my next day off. After some schedule adjustments, Kevin arranged to come over during the day next Saturday. I had an uneasy feeling, but I trusted that everything would be all right. And on that promised day, Kevin came home drenched in sweat. The weather outside had gone beyond a typical summer day and was now considered scorching.
I'm home.
Welcome back. What brings you here so suddenly? I served some iced tea and sat down at the living room table. Kevin sat across from me. He seemed a bit nervous, fiddling with the glass of iced tea.
Well, lately, it's been so hot, and I was wondering how you were doing.
Oh, you were worried about me? Thank you. How's work?
Yeah, it's busy, you know. With the summer heat, sales of air conditioners and fans are doing well.
Noticing his unusually hesitant demeanor, I started to sense something was off. It was clear he was either trying to say something difficult or hiding something. And? When I casually responded, Kevin suddenly became serious, hesitated for a moment, and then said,
Actually, there's someone I want to marry.
"What?" Even for me, this was a bolt from the blue. He had never introduced a girlfriend before, nor had he shown any signs of being in a relationship. How could any parent not be surprised by such sudden news? I was instantly curious. Who is she? What kind of person is she? I had no idea you had a girlfriend.
Well, I hadn't mentioned it. She's really cute.
Kevin's face turned bright red as he started to speak slowly. Her name was Amelia, and she worked at a boutique. About a year ago, Kevin met her when he accompanied a colleague to pick out a gift for the colleague's wife. He was captivated by her brisk manner, her fashion sense, and her lovely eyes. Since then, he had been visiting the shop often, exchanged contact information, and started dating her. He often felt comforted by her cheerful smile, and even though she could be a bit sharp-tongued at times, he loved everything about her. After talking for about an hour and showing me photos on his phone, I saw pictures of him with her. She was stylishly dressed, had blonde wavy hair, and well-manicured nails. The two of them looked truly happy together. However, there was one thing that concerned me. His girlfriend wasn't here. "So, when is Amelia coming over?" I asked, trying to contain my excitement.
She was supposed to come with me today, but it seems she's caught in traffic and said she'd be late.
Oh, in that case, you should wait for her at the nearby shopping center. After all, she wouldn't know our place, right? Just then, a message arrived on Kevin's phone.
I arrived! Where are you, Kevin?
I caught a glimpse of the message, which was very cute, as if typed in a hurry. Kevin's ears turned bright red, and he quickly hid the screen before rushing out of the house.
I'll go pick her up real quick.
As I watched the front door slam shut behind him, I shrugged my shoulders. After just a few minutes, Kevin and Amelia arrived.
Hello! Is this Kevin's mom?
As soon as she entered the doorway, Amelia pointed at me and said, "Nice to meet you. I'm Kevin's mother, Maria. Please come in." I welcomed them with a smile, but I couldn't help but have some reservations about Amelia's outfit. I thought she was coming to meet me for a potential marriage discussion, but she was wearing an off-the-shoulder top and a miniskirt, which didn't seem appropriate for meeting her boyfriend's parent. Considering she worked in a boutique, I wondered why she didn't choose something more formal and suitable for the occasion. Or perhaps, this was her idea of formal attire? I felt a bit uneasy, wondering if I was just out of touch with the younger generation's sense of fashion. I poured iced tea into glasses and brought out some snacks, setting them on the living room table.
Wow! These are popular rusks from that shop in the shopping mall. Kevin's mom, you have great taste.
Oh, thank you. So, you're Amelia, right? Kevin told me about you.
Yes, that's me. And the iced tea is delicious.
She gave off an impression of being cheerful and carefree. Her nails were also perfectly done. How old are you?
I'm 24. There's a 5-year difference between me and Kevin.
I was surprised to hear that Kevin had such a lovely girlfriend. He hadn't mentioned anything about you. You're working, right?
Yep, I work at a select shop near Kevin's office. I'm in my 2nd year there. I got the job right after graduating from fashion school. Oh, can I have some more rusk?
Please, help yourself, I said, moving the plate closer to her. While trying to keep up with her youthful energy, I struggled to maintain a pleasant smile.
It's so good!
As she munched on the rusk, Kevin spoke up.
Hey, Amelia, don't forget why we're here today.
I know. It's just a bit of fun, right?
She puffed her cheeks in a cute pout and put down the rusk. Then, she straightened her posture, looked at me seriously, and sat up straight.
Kevin's mom, I came here today because I have something important to tell you.
Her sudden formality prompted me to straighten up as well.
Kevin and I have been dating for about a year, and I'm seriously considering marriage with him. So, last month Kevin proposed to me, and I said yes, so we've decided to get married.
Internally, I felt like I had stumbled into alignment for Amelia's parents, not me. I couldn't quite warm up to her choice of words. I didn't expect her to use flowery expressions, but couldn't she have chosen more thoughtful words? Also, considering she arrived late today, shouldn't she start with an apology? These thoughts crossed my mind. I wondered whether it was acceptable to attribute it to youthful indiscretion, despite the fact that she seemed unaware of the commitment to meet and the effort others made to adjust their schedules. I refrained from voicing my concerns to preserve the atmosphere, gently expressed my reservations, and politely asked her to leave for the day. However, after talking extensively with Kevin on another day, and understanding his strong desire to marry Amelia, I formally accepted their marriage. Subsequently, they successfully completed their wedding ceremony and apparently decided to live in an apartment near Kevin's workplace. Their married life seemed to be going smoothly, and I found myself completely at ease, immersing even more deeply into my hobby of paper cutting. Time passed, and before I knew it, a whole season had gone by, and another hot summer arrived. Around this time, I received a call from Amelia expressing her desire to live together. When I asked about the reason for her surprise decision, she explained that Kevin had received a transfer notice, and his workplace would now be near my home. Amelia herself also wanted to learn household chores like cooking and cleaning from me. But Amelia, won't it be far from your workplace? I inquired, seeking clarification. To my surprise, her response was unexpected.
Oh, don't worry about that. I've actually quit my job.
The word "why did you quit" almost escaped my lips, but I held it back and nodded. I see. Okay then. Initially taken aback because I had assumed they would live separately from me, I eventually agreed since there were available rooms. I'll prepare the room, so please let me know once you've decided on the moving date. And so, a few weeks later, Kevin and Amelia moved in with me, and our cohabitation began. I initially asked Amelia to handle tasks like washing dishes after meals, cleaning bathrooms, and doing the laundry. She managed to do them for the first 2 to 3 days, but gradually started to find it troublesome. Amelia, did you wash the dishes? I asked. Amelia replied lazily, her eyes and fingers glued to her smartphone.
Oh, I was just about to do it. But Kevin's mom, you can do it if you want.
As I left everything to her, I often found last night's dishes lingering until the next morning, laundry left in the dryer or not put away properly. Amelia, please leave this towel in the bathroom, I instructed. But she would pretend not to hear and swiftly disappear somewhere else. When I pointed out dirt in the bathtub during cleaning, Amelia would grumble.
You're so picky.
I couldn't help but wonder who it was that had asked to learn household chores, proclaiming she would quit her job as a shop assistant to become a full-time homemaker and do her best with housework. However, Amelia showed hardly any initiative to learn these tasks. As a result, I ended up doing household chores and cooking for 3 people. To my further surprise, I later found out that the real reason Amelia was late on the day she first came to greet us with Kevin wasn't due to traffic, but simply because she overslept. I was so dumbfounded that I couldn't even speak. Even after they moved in, I continued my hobby of paper cutting in the living room, finding solace in this immersive activity. However, when Amelia saw my paper cuttings, she sneered as if mocking them.
What's the point of this, huh?
She remarked. As for what Kevin truly thought about his tactless wife, I couldn't say for certain. Whenever I tried to express my feelings about her, it seemed to fall on deaf ears.
Mom, could you please not be so critical?
Kevin would sometimes interject.
Well, I am a serious person at heart.
Amelia would retort, and they would ignore my concerns altogether. One weekend, with large cumulonimbus clouds in the sky, I was packing a week's worth of luggage when I caught sight of Kevin emerging from his room.
What's with all the luggage?
Kevin asked, eyeing the amount curiously. Kevin, it's perfect timing. I'm going overseas for a bit. I've already closed the shop, but I should be back in about a week. Please take care of the house while I'm gone, I said. It wasn't Kevin who responded to my words, but Amelia. She had somehow appeared behind him.
Are you planning to go overseas by yourself?
Amelia exclaimed, sounding incredulous.
You're leaving me and Kevin behind? That's not fair.
It's not a vacation. You see. I began to explain.
If it's not a vacation, then what is it?
Kevin interrupted.
What about the meals? The laundry? The cleaning? Are you dumping everything on me?
Amelia demanded, her voice rising. Listen, both of you, please. I tried to get a word in.
So you're using the money I earn to go on a trip? I'm disappointed in you.
Kevin shouted.
Where are you going? You should be taking me and Kevin with you. We live in the same house.
Amelia insisted. I attempted to calm them down and explain the situation, but their anger only intensified, leaving no room for a rational conversation. Enough! I finally yelled. Even then, they continued to yell, with Amelia declaring that traveling alone was ridiculous. If they had enough energy to argue, I wished they would channel some of it into doing household chores. Amelia then said something that shocked me to my core.
Why don't you just stay there forever? We don't need you to come back. We can take over the house and the bar.
For a moment, I felt my blood run cold. I realized then that any further discussion would be futile. Fine. As you wish, Amelia. I'll leave the house and the bar to you both, I declared, my voice remarkably calm. Then, as planned, I left for my overseas trip. 2 weeks later, I received a phone call from Kevin. Despite it being their home, they were being asked to leave. Oh, that. Actually, I began to explain. I revealed how my late husband had once tried to sell the house and land due to his gambling debts. Relatives, having heard about the situation, had lent us a large sum of money to help out. However, My husband never managed to repay the debt and passed away. Consequently, I transferred the ownership of the house, the bar, and the land to those relatives as a settlement. In reality, this was never a house where we could stay indefinitely. We've been living here because our relatives graciously rented it to us at a very low price. I said.
What about the bar? The land it's on?
Kevin asked, his voice tight with panic. The shop's land and building too. When we had that discussion and I decided to move overseas, I took care of the lease termination before leaving. I replied. I could sense Kevin's stunned silence over the phone. He was probably standing there, pale-faced, in shock. And about the shop? I continued. I had planned to close it soon anyway because sales had been declining.
What? What do you mean by that?
Amelia shouted, evidently listening on speaker. A while back, a new bar opened nearby and took most of our customers. It got good reviews for being affordable. I explained. I could almost see them both burying their heads in their hands.
I never heard about this.
Kevin began to shout, but it was too late. You never asked, and I didn't need to tell you. I responded coolly, cutting him off.
That's so unfair. Kevin's mom. Why didn't you tell us? And then you just left for overseas like you were running away.
Amelia exclaimed. Amelia, you misunderstand. I didn't leave to run away, and it certainly wasn't for a vacation. The real reason I came overseas was to hold a solo exhibition of my paper-cutting art. I clarified.
Huh?
Amelia reacted in disbelief. It turned out that Mr. Smith, a regular at my bar, had photographed my paper cuttings and posted them on social media. These posts garnered significant praise from international artists. Subsequently, one of Smith's acquaintances, who owned a private gallery, offered me an opportunity to hold an exhibition abroad. That was why I had come overseas, I explained. Kevin and Amelia were both taken aback. I remember you once asked what good it was. Well, as the saying goes, practice makes perfect. My hobby of paper cutting led to this opportunity to move overseas. I said. Though they continued to argue on the other end of the line, I paid no mind and ended the call. Here's what I heard from my relatives afterward. Kevin and Amelia, trying to salvage the store that was barely avoiding the red, eventually decided to close it. They are now overwhelmed with the various procedures involved. Balancing these tasks with their regular jobs must be quite challenging. They also ran around trying to recontract the rental of the house, but my relatives refused, saying, "We only rented it to Maria." Consequently, Kevin and Amelia were forced to move to a new place. This ordeal cost them a lot of money, including moving expenses, store closure costs, and house cleaning fees to restore the property. With their finances strained, Amelia could no longer afford to be a full-time housewife and had to find part-time work. Juggling her job with household chores and cooking led to increased stress, causing her to snap at Kevin more frequently. As for Kevin, he reportedly complained that his relationship with Amelia had deteriorated. It's likely because he still didn't help with washing dishes or cleaning the bathroom, exacerbating their issues. Meanwhile, my solo exhibition overseas attracted many collectors, and my works quickly found buyers despite their not-so-modest prices. It felt like a dream to see my amateur paper cutting sell. The gallery owner praised my work highly.
These delicate and beautiful pieces can only be made by you. They are wonderful.
Mr. Smith even flew in from the US to congratulate me and brought flowers. On his suggestion, I rented an apartment near the gallery to use as my base of operations. In another 6 months, I should save enough to move to a larger place. I had never imagined that my second life would involve moving overseas. There's still a lot I'm not used to, but I'm delighted to be here. Strolling slowly along the stylish cobblestone streets, breathing in the foreign air, I ponder what my next artwork will be. How did you enjoy this story? Please remember to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.